Welcome to 528 Portal, the space where your heart opens, your energy clears, and your higher self becomes your guide. Today, we are stepping into a powerful and sacred transmission, a quantum guide to manifesting your best year ever, not just in 2026, but in every year beyond this one. This is not a video about resolutions. This is not a video about forcing yourself into new habits or chasing goals from a place of pressure or trying to control your life into alignment. This is about something far deeper, something quantum, something energetic, something identity-based, something that aligns your heart, your emotions, your frequency, your subconscious, and your future self into a coherent magnetic field that shapes the year ahead in a way that feels natural, aligned, and inevitable. This is a guide to becoming the version of you whose life already reflects everything you desire. Take a slow breath in, let your shoulders drop, let your jaw soften, let the tension around your heart soften. You are stepping into a space where the next chapter of your life begins not with pressure, but with presence. Not with force, but with clarity. Not with fear, but with awakening. Every new year brings a psychological reset, a sense of possibility, a sense of expansion, a sense of opening. But in the quantum field, time is not linear. There is nothing special about January unless you give it meaning. The power of this moment does not come from the calendar. It comes from your awareness. It comes from the identity you choose to embody. It comes from the emotional frequency you stabilize. It comes from the story you decide to write for yourself. And yet, there is a real energetic momentum that happens at the end of a year. Collective consciousness slows down. People reflect, people release, people reset. The field becomes softer, more malleable, more receptive to intention. This is why the end of a year, especially the last weeks of December, is a portal. Not because the universe flips a switch on January 1st, but because billions of people turn inward, evaluate their lives, and shift their energetic field. That collective coherence creates an opening, an opportunity for you to step into a new timeline more effortlessly than at any other time of year. But here's the truth most people never understand. Your year does not change because the number changes. Your year changes because you change. And most people don't change. They just try to force new behaviors on top of old identities. They set goals from a place of pressure. They promise themselves they will suddenly become disciplined, confident, wealthy, spiritual, organized, or calm, without addressing the emotional patterns that have shaped their reality for years. They try to run a new program on an old operating system. And by the second week of January, the old identity pulls them back. They lose momentum, they lose trust, and they think they failed, when in reality, they never shifted their foundation. So today, we are going to shift your foundation. We are going to activate the version of you who already lives the life you desire. We are going to dissolve the emotional residue of the past year. We are going to align your nervous system with your next level. We are going to connect you to the future self who has already mastered the version of life you want. And we are going to build the first 30 days of your new year, whether that is 2026 or any year beyond, in a way that locks your timeline into place. This is not manifestation as you've known it. This is identity-based quantum creation. Before we begin the step-by-step guide, I want you to place a hand over your heart. Let your awareness settle into your chest. Feel the warmth of your skin. Feel your breath. Feel the quiet movement beneath your palm. And tell your body, I am safe to change. I am safe to expand. I am safe to grow. I am safe to receive the life that is meant for me. Because manifestation is not about wanting. It is about allowing. It is about receiving. It is about becoming. And becoming requires safety. Your nervous system must feel safe to let go of who you were. It must feel safe to embody who you are becoming. Without safety, no amount of desire can translate into reality. So let's begin there, with the foundation of all change. The first step in manifesting your best year ever is to clear the emotional field of the previous year. You cannot plant new seeds in a field filled with old roots. You cannot create a new year from the frequency of the past. And yet, most people try. They attempt to manifest abundance while carrying the emotional memory of scarcity. They try to manifest love while holding onto the wounds of rejection. They try to manifest confidence while identifying with their insecurities. They bring the emotional debris of the previous year into the next one and then wonder why nothing changes. But reality reflects the state of your inner world, not the state of your plans. So before we shape 2026, we release 2025, or whatever year you are leaving behind, energetically. Take a moment and reflect gently. What did this year teach you? Not what it cost you, what it revealed. What did it show you about your inner world? What patterns repeated? What lessons emerged? What cycles became too painful to ignore? What identity kept showing itself even when you tried to hide it? These reflections are not meant to shame you. They are meant to free you. Your year was not a mistake. It was a mirror, and now you are ready to cleanse the mirror. Imagine the past year as a landscape behind you. Memories, emotions, moments of joy, moments of pain, moments of confusion, moments of clarity. See it all behind you, not as a weight, but as a field of information. Now, visualize a soft golden light rising behind you like a sunrise, touching everything from the past year with warmth and understanding. Feel the stories soften. Feel the tension melt. Feel the emotional charge dissolve. You are not erasing your past. You are releasing the parts of it that no longer need to follow you. You are thanking the lessons and letting go of the heaviness. You are stepping into the new year with an unburdened heart. The second step is to choose your 2026 identity. Identity is the blueprint. Identity is the magnet. Identity is the architect of your reality. This is the part no one teaches. Because most manifestation advice focuses on actions or goals. But you don't manifest what you do. You manifest who you are. Your identity is your frequency. Your identity is your signal. Your identity is the story your subconscious uses to shape your world. And most people start a new year with the same identity they had the year before. They want new experiences while identifying as the same version of themselves. But nothing changes until you change the one who is living the year. So, ask yourself, who is the version of me that lives my best year? Who is the version of me that receives the opportunities, relationships, healing, abundance, clarity, expansion, and alignment I desire? What is their emotional tone? What is their posture? What is their confidence? What is their level of self-trust? What is the way they speak to themselves? What boundaries do they hold? What standards do they carry? What reality belongs to this version of me? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that future version of yourself, your 2026 self, or your next year self, or your highest self, standing in front of you. See them clearly. Notice their presence. Notice their expression. Notice the energy they carry. Notice the subtle difference between who you were and who you are becoming. And allow the truth to rise within you. This version is not separate from you. It is you, without the layers of doubt, fear, hesitation, or survival conditioning. It is you, fully embodied. It is you, without the noise. It is you, without the resistance. It is you, aligned with your higher timeline. Now breathe into your heart and say quietly or aloud, I choose this identity for my next year. I choose to live as this version of me. Feel your body respond. Feel your chest expand. Feel the shift inside you, because identity is chosen, not found. The version of you who lives your best year is activated through decision, not through effort, not through perfection, through alignment. The third step is to create the emotional vision of your year, not the list of goals, the emotional reality. You don't manifest things. You manifest states of being that naturally attract things. You manifest experiences that match your emotional frequency. So instead of asking, what do I want to achieve? Ask, how do I want to feel? Do you want to feel confident, free, creative, stable, loved, healthy, magnetic, at peace, inspired, aligned? Once you know the emotional tone, the reality that matches it becomes inevitable. Imagine waking up on a morning in mid-2026. or any year beyond this one, and feel the version of you who is living your best year. What does your morning feel like? How does your body feel? What thoughts arise naturally? What kind of environment are you waking up in? What kind of relationships surround you? What kind of opportunities are moving towards you? What kind of choices would this version of you make without hesitation? Feel the emotions. Feel the frequency. That feeling is your manifestation, not the specifics. The feeling is the magnet. This is where journaling becomes powerful. Write a page titled My Best Year, and instead of listing goals, list feelings and experiences. Write, "This year I feel," and describe your emotional reality. Describe the way you move through life. Describe the way you make decisions. Describe the version of you who lives the life you want. Because the more clearly you know how you want to feel, the more precisely your year aligns with that frequency. The fourth step is to build your emotional frequency. This is where quantum manifestation becomes practical. Your emotional frequency is determined by your daily habits, not your wishes. The nervous system is the foundation of your year. If your nervous system feels unsafe, you will sabotage opportunities. If your nervous system feels overwhelmed, you will resist expansion. If your nervous system is in fight or flight, you cannot embody abundance. So the question becomes, what is the simplest way to stabilize the emotional state you want? Start with your smallest emotional upgrade. Just one, not 10, not 100 resolutions. One emotional shift, one frequency, one practice that you can repeat daily without pressure. It could be waking up slowly, grounding yourself before checking your phone, taking a 5-minute breath before making a decision, speaking one empowering sentence to yourself each morning, creating a space in your home that feels peaceful, drinking water with presence, writing one sentence of gratitude, setting one boundary that honors your energy, taking one small action that your future self would choose. Small shifts recalibrate timelines. Small shifts change identity. Small shifts build momentum. A year is transformed through subtle daily alignment, not dramatic reinvention. The fifth step is to take micro actions aligned with your identity. These are tiny actions that lock your new timeline in place. For example, if your 2026 self is confident, a micro action might be speaking your truth in one small situation. If your 2026 self is abundant, a micro action might be treating money with respect, even if it's a small amount. If your 2026 self is peaceful, a micro action might be walking away from unnecessary drama. If your 2026 self is healthy, a micro action might be resting when you're tired instead of pushing through. The scale does not matter, the coherence does. Every time you act in alignment with the identity you chose, you reinforce the timeline. You send a signal to the quantum field. You strengthen the neural pathway. You increase the frequency. Identity is a choice, but coherence is a practice. The sixth step is to track your shifts. This is where most people fall apart after the first 2 weeks of January, because they lose awareness of their progress. They focus on what isn't happening yet instead of what is shifting beneath the surface. So, instead of tracking achievements, track alignment. Each day, write one sentence. Today, I lived as my chosen self by... It could be the smallest thing. A thought, a choice, a feeling, a moment. The purpose is not to measure your success. It is to witness your transformation. When you track alignment, you build trust. When you build trust, your year unfolds with ease. Manifestation becomes natural. Momentum becomes inevitable. Now, let's talk about the most powerful part of the year, the first 30 days. In the quantum field, your year is shaped by the emotional set point you stabilize in the beginning. This is why the first month matters. Not because January is magical, but because your nervous system is most receptive to change during periods of transition. So, for your first 30 days, whether it is January 2026 or the first month of any new chapter, focus less on doing and more on becoming. Focus less on forcing and more on aligning. Focus less on outcomes and more on identity. Focus less on intensity and more on consistency. Start your year slowly, intentionally, gently. Choose one emotional frequency you want to embody, one identity shift, one micro action, one daily ritual, one way of speaking to yourself, one boundary, one form of self-support. And let that be enough, because what you stabilize in the first 30 days becomes the foundation of the entire year. If you spend January overwhelmed, the year becomes overwhelming. If you spend January in self-judgment, the year becomes self-critical. But if you spend January in calm embodiment, the year becomes coherent. If you spend January in grounded identity, the year becomes aligned. If you spend January in emotional safety, the year becomes expansive. The seventh and final step is timeline activation. This is where you consciously merge with the future version of yourself. This is the part most people skip, but it is the key to quantum manifestation. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Let it out slowly. Imagine your future self, your 2026 self, or the version of you who has already lived your best year, standing in front of you once again. Notice how they look at you. Notice the compassion in their eyes. Notice the confidence in their posture. Notice the stability in their presence. Now imagine stepping forward and merging with them. Feel their energy moving into your body. Feel their clarity settle into your mind. Feel their confidence anchor into your chest. Feel their peace flow through your nervous system. Feel the alignment click into place. Now place a hand over your heart and whisper, I choose this version of me. I stabilize this identity. I open myself to the year that belongs to this frequency. Feel the shift. Feel the warmth. Feel the coherence. Your timeline responds instantly when you choose alignment. The quantum field rearranges itself when identity changes. Your year reshapes itself when you become the version of you who knows that you are worthy of the life you desire. And now, let these final words anchor your new beginning. You do not manifest your best year by forcing it. You manifest it by becoming the version of you who naturally lives it. You do not manifest through pressure. You manifest through coherence. You do not manifest through intensity. You manifest through consistency. You do not manifest through trying. You manifest through being. You do not manifest your goals. You manifest your identity. And when identity shifts, the year shifts. The relationships shift, the opportunities shift, the timeline shifts, your life shifts this year. Whether it is 2026 or any year that follows, can be the most aligned, grounded, expansive, and authentic year of your life. Not because the calendar changes, but because you do. And you just did. Thank you for tuning in to 528 Portal. May your heart stay open, your intuition stay clear, and your path stay aligned. If this message resonated, like and subscribe for more deeply transformative content.